This will be the inspection video for the 2004 Chevy Avalanche engine bay. We do know the seller has disclosed first and foremost, this has a fresh short block in it, and you can tell it's actually been installed and everything is looking pretty new and leak free down there, so that is definitely a nice sign. We do have a coolant reservoir, which is at an appropriate level. We do have some dust, nothing unusual, nothing to worry about there. We come over, we do have a fresh battery, so that has been recently replaced. Now, as far as leaks, dribbles, or drips, we're not really seeing much of any. There is a possible slight power steering weep down there, which is interesting on this particular truck because it is what they call a hydro boost system. So instead of using vacuum to assist the brakes, this uses power steering hydraulic pressure. It's kind of cool, kind of strange to see on a 1500 truck, but nonetheless pretty neat. Our brake reservoir is full. The color on that just seems a little dark for my particular liking. That may need warrant some service sooner than later, I believe. Otherwise, we do have signs of aftermarket wiring, including an alarm there, as well as we have a stereo connection. And the wiring wasn't actually horribly done at all. There's some routing. Routing questions I have, just the way they routed it, but I don't think it's an issue. It's just me being picky. Other than that, we do have this little ground wire that just was kind of flopping around. That may need to be reattached. Isn't a huge major concern though. Moving on to the front crash rail, we don't have any kind of damage or any kind of sign of damage up front at all, which is nice. Everything seems good and tight up here. Nothing's wiggling, moving around. As far as the radiator goes, everything looks good there. We do have quite a few new parts on this. So it looks like recent spark plug wires, possibly, with that fresh short block. So overall, I'm going to give this engine bay a really clean bill of health. It is in pretty decent shape overall. Appreciate it. Thank you. And welcome to the exterior portion of our inspection here. Immediately in the front, we have some things to discuss. So first and foremost, we do see this brush guard here. It's actually installed really, really well. It is secure. I can move the whole truck with it. Not a problem there at all. We do have couple of things here. The aftermarket headlights, unfortunately, I could not get these to function properly, and I do believe that's actually not the actual headlights themselves. I do believe it is a switch issue, but that being said, I'm not certain. Our fogs do work, in fact, when we can get the headlights to work properly, at least the parking lights. So other than that, turn signals work fine. The front cover is on secure. However, it looks like there was some kind of a coating on the front bumper, and that looks like it is starting to degrade and peel off. Again, some oxidation on the top eye of these quote-unquote cat eyes, and then we do have our bug shield, as well as our hood scoop aesthetic there. Moving on to the fender here, we're looking for kind of panel gaps, any kind of strange lines indicative of crash repair, some overspray, or any weird kind of paint blemishes that would indicate repair, of which we're not really seeing any. We do see all the plastics are where they should be. Now, getting down to wheels and tires. The wheels themselves are some nice aftermarket units and in really good shape. Unfortunately, the tires, it looks like there is some definite dry rot, some cracking throughout the tread as well as on the sidewall. That I think would have to be addressed sooner than later. Moving right down along, we do have these aftermarket step bars. Just due to age, these aftermarket bars sometimes just don't hold up. The pads start to peel up, as you can see, and then, you know, they're not protected from the weather at that point, and they do start to oxidize. That is kind of a par for the course with those, unfortunately. Moving right down along, our glass is in really good shape. The rears are tinted and the fronts are not, so you are quote unquote legal wherever you go. Moving back to the panel gap here, it looks like we have good straight clean lines all the way through. We did examine all of our hatch compartments, our rear compartments. Those open and operate as they should. This whole rear section, as we'll get into, does open and operate as it should, which is kind of cool. You can kind of convert it when you need to. Again, this tire is not quite as cracked, but you can just see some kind of weather checking there. I think possibly this vehicle sat before they attempted to replace the engine. Moving right back along, we do have aftermarket tail lights. Those operate as they should. Brake, parking, and reverse, as well as turns, is all fine there. The receiver is in good shape, and the rear bumper is stout, not going anywhere. Again, I think we have some more of that aftermarket coating of some sort is starting to peel there. Moving along, no gaps, no strange gaps. These do have this plastic armor plating, which kind of looks from certain angles like something is off, but that is the way it's supposed to be. Again, we have nice clean gaps there. No indication of any major body work or components replaced at all there, outside of a little kind of ding on the mirror here, and then a small ding down there. The body is actually really straight on this particular Avalanche. And that will conclude the exterior. Thank you. This will be the undercarriage inspection of this Chevy Avalanche. Immediately, we're going to talk about some weeping on the transfer case, as well as some of the transmission there. We can see it doesn't look like a quote-unquote active leak. It's not dripping or dribbling, but it is definitely weeping. That may be a point of emphasis to take a look at, and maybe service eventually. Otherwise, we do see some signs of just slight oxidation starting to occur under the truck. You know, nothing abnormal. I don't believe this was an East Coast vehicle at all. I believe this vehicle sat for some time, maybe before the short block was taken care of. We will move along to the front here momentarily. This is the front side of our undercarriage inspection, and we're kind of looking for leaks, dribbles, any kind of strange wear in the suspension itself, and which we actually see really none. Everything is clean and dry down here, and we're not seeing any kind of strut wear, control arm problems, or anything like that there. So that is a good sign here up front, and we will resume in the back. All right, and the rear portion of our inspection here, immediately we see our spare, and then we do see our rear struts are showing signs of age and oxidation. They don't feel like they are blown, and they're not leaking, so it doesn't seem like it is an issue at the moment. However, that may be an indicator of service is probably going to be due on those sooner than later. Now we can see a good look at the rear differential as well as drive shaft and the exhaust there. We have some slight oxidation on the exhaust as well as some of the frame. Like I said, I think this vehicle sat for a little while. Other than that, the rear differential, no leaks there, no drips or dribbles. Appreciate it. And this will be the interior portion of our inspection. Immediately, a couple things popped. First and foremost, we'll actually come to the master switch here. Now, the master switch, if you do shut the door hard enough, the whole unit will pop up free. I'm not going to pop it up now, but it does pop out. The lock and unlock buttons do not function on the switch as well. I believe this switch will probably need to be replaced as a unit. It's probably the little clips inside that are broken, to be honest. Moving right along, otherwise the door panel is in really decent shape. We have just a little bit of probably ring wear. As you can see, the ring just hits this portion here, you know. That's pretty normal. Moving to the gauges now, I do have the vehicle running, and I do want to just emphasize kind of these gauges being inoperable. We have oil pressure, we have voltage, we have our coolant temperature sensor. All those gauges seem to be inoperable. I think the fuel gauge is working appropriately, but that is not 100%. So that definitely, these gauges are known for having issues. They do need rebuilds occasionally, so that may be something that needs to be addressed, because we had no issues with how the engine is running, and no indication of any of these strange conditions here. So we will need to take a look at that, definitely. The steering wheel, as you can see, there's some slight wear on it, as to be expected. A little bit of sticky, just due to the material that GM kind of used on these steering wheels. You know, and it being an older vehicle, that's just indicative of its age. Our center console here, we have a little wear, and the button for the release doesn't actually release or open it up. We do have this aftermarket stereo here, and our climate controls. Those all work well as they should, and operate wonderfully. Even something I'm impressed with, if you've ever tried to install an aftermarket stereo with steering wheel controls, sometimes that can be a pain, and they actually seem to work beautifully. They do really well, so that is a good sign. Moving on, seats are actually in really good shape. We have a little bit of bolster wear there, but nothing to worry about. Sorry, I was just turning down the volume there on that aftermarket unit. In the rear, you know, it's actually, this is a very clean vehicle. Now, everything has been cleaned up, cleaned out. The seats are all in really good shape. Door panels as well. Now we do have our aftermarket amplifier. It is actually wired and ran professionally, and it seems like it's not going to move on you or cause you any grief in the future. Now, we did unlock and unlatch all of these rear components here. We'll have to swing around to the other side to get the other side, but that all operates as it should. All the latches and releases for both the glass and the rear hatch portion to fold down all operate great. We will swing around to the other side. Okay, and the other side of the rear here, one thing we do have to highlight is this window switch is inoperable on the right rear, so I believe that switch is going to need to be looked at. Now back to our rear passenger compartment here. There's our emergency toolkit. That is intact. Everything is there as it should be. And now we have our unlock there. And if we rotate that, and we didn't take off the center section for the glass, that will all fold down, and that works and operates perfectly. The glass does fold down. At the moment, I'm not going to take it out, but it does operate as it should. Now moving on to the front section here. Again, the front section, these seat, carpet, and interior is in actually really good shape. Now this lock button works as well as the window. And this will be the trunk, quote-unquote, bed portion of the video here. We did kind of get a peek at it earlier, and now we do know that all these sections do fold up appropriately, as they should. Our latches work fine and do exactly what they're supposed to. Everything back here is actually in really decent shape, and there is just a little dirt underneath, but no sign of major rust or anything like that. So no concerns there at all. Tailgate closes appropriately and stays good and snug. All right, thank you. And this will be the code scan portion of our inspection here. Immediately we have some red faults. Those, however, do not appear as active faults. They are what we would call historical faults. So they are stored in the computer until a certain amount of drive cycles. And I do believe all these are going to be due to the battery being replaced recently. Other than that, our power chain, ABS, all that stuff is passing. I didn't get the instrument panel cluster test to respond correctly. It's coming back as no fault, but we do know that there is definitely a fault with that. So that's a little strange. But otherwise, that should be not a concern, I don't think, at the moment, and a clean bill as far as the code scan portion goes. Thank you. All right, conclusion video of our 2004 Chevy Avalanche inspection here. So there are immediately some concerns to address, the headlight switch being one of them, or aftermarket headlights being an issue. The gauges I would like to see addressed, just so we know what's going on with the vehicle. Tires, I do think will need to be definitely addressed before any kind of long haul road trip or anything of that nature. Otherwise, outside of gauges, a couple of switches that need to be replaced. There are some good highlights on this truck. New short block is one of them. That is a headache you don't have to deal with, which is nice, and it looks well done. Other than that, there is just a slight bit of oxidation underneath the truck. I do believe that's due from probably sitting, is what I would guess. That being said, there are highlights and lowlights of this particular vehicle, and it will need a little bit of TLC before I would personally put it into active service. All right, I do appreciate your time, and thank you very much.